Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE Monday Night Raw episode 1402, which was broadcast on April 6, 2020. It's the Raw after Mania, where the crowd is boos who they usually cheer and cheers who they usually boos, or rotates in the other direction because the only fan in the building is on the ceiling. But I really liked this episode. I saw a lot of people saying that they thought this episode was boring and nothing happened, all that. This is the first Raw in a month, basically, where we've had like all brand new content the entire night. We didn't have a replay of any classic matches. We barely had a replay of the match the previous night. We had some highlights of matches from Wrestlemania, but they were the usual like still image slideshow type things, which I thought did a real disservice to the Boneyard match. The Boneyard, like, truncated, annotated, or abridged. That's what I meant. Abridged version with still images and like slow motion shots and stuff like that, like into the stills. I thought it was really bad. So that was the one thing I did not like at all about this episode was that version of the Boneyard match. If that was the only version of the Boneyard match I had seen, I would not seek to see another version of it. I'd be like, okay, I get what happens. It was kind of lame. In still images, it's not great. As it was filmed, fantastic. That kind of thing only really works for like a sports performance, which is what a regular wrestling match is. Does not work for a cinematic performance. It's like if the trailer for Avengers Endgame was still images of all the fights in the movie, and like a few frames of slow motion going in each of those still images with some sound. It would be so stupid. That would be the worst trailer, and as such, this is the worst trailer to get you to watch the Boneyard match, I think. So ignore that this version of it exists. Watch WrestleMania for the actual version of the Boneyard. Okay, that's the only thing I'm going to be really that's the only thing I'm going to be negative about, because I'm really excited about all this other stuff. So I did. There is. It's important to know, if you're listening to this, you probably know what already happened on this episode, but it is important to know that earlier in the day, a new Netflix series came out called The Big Show Show, starring Paul White as The Big Show. And it's about him having retired from wrestling. And he has two daughters with his current wife, and then his oldest daughter, who he had with his previous wife, it comes to live with him and the rest of his family in Tampa, Florida. And so it's all based around that. And there's a couple of episodes that are based on like the room situation, sharing rooms with the new sister. I mean, they're not brand new sister, but they're living together permanently for the first time and all that. So it's kind of fun. There's lots and lots of wrestling, of course, lots of wrestling referenced. But there's some stuff that I will talk about more specifically when I get to the end of this episode of Raw. So moving on, we opened up this episode with Asuka versus Liv Morgan. I thought this match was great. Probably the best Liv Morgan match that I've ever seen, at least that I could remember. There's a really cool Hurricane Rana to the outside that Liv Morgan did, and she did it by like kind of rolling, like not cartwheeling, but she like went through the ropes to the outside and got her legs onto Asuka and did a Rana to the outside. She had this great springboard code breaker, or whatever she calls that, her version of that move. But ultimately, I think nobody was surprised when Asuka won via the Asuka lock. But man, Liv Morgan looked awesome in this match, skill-wise, and looked awesome otherwise, as she always does. Anyway, she had the same gear as she had the previous night on WrestleMania, which is her coolest gear that I've ever seen her in. Also, I mean, she looks real cool in her Riot Squad gear as well. But it is a bit of we haven't seen any of the rest of the Riot Squad. Yeah, I want that triple threat. It's going to be so great when they get a triple threat. But anyway, then we had Shayna Baszler. She's defeated by Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. And she says, agony of my defeat, or agony of defeat, or it's like poetry kind of, but not the same kind of poetry as Firefly Funhouse, like I had said. But then she says, what is it? I don't remember the second half of that saying. Somehow I don't remember the second half of the saying, but she says, and the agony of my defeat for you, or something like that. It was like, oh, now Becky's going to have to pay for having won. That now Shayna's just really, really mad. So that could be pretty interesting. That twist at the end, that made me like this. Before that, I was like, oh, well, she's just repeating herself. But the third time around, she changed it up, and I like that. Then we had a rematch for the Raw Tag Team titles. I was not expecting the Street Profits to lose the championships. I thought they were going to win, but it did end in disqualification. So Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Austin Theory. Zelina Vega was out there with them, and right away I thought, oh, I hope Bianca's out here with the Street Profits. She did not come out there with them, but after that disqualification, they went to try to attack the Street Profits again. Vega went to kick Montez Ford in the face and all of that. Same thing as the previous night. But then Bianca Belair, same thing. She comes out, neutralizes the threats, and then we get then she challenges Zelina Vega. She's like, get in this ring before I have to come out here and go out there and get you. So we get a singles match. This episode had the most women's matches I'm pretty sure in like months, and absolutely the most. It is. I don't think we've ever had more than 3. Technically we had 4 here, because Bianca versus Zelina Vega, Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega ended in disqualification as well. But then they made it, hey, let's make this a 3-on-3 match. So we had a 3-on-3 mixed tag match, 4th match of the night. Like, this whole episode is filled with matches. And, like, a lot of people on Reddit were saying, oh, it looks like it was a bunch of squash matches. No, if you actually watch it, like, none of these matches were squash matches at all. All of them got more time than some WrestleMania matches. There wasn't a single... Oh, yeah, out of the last 3 nights, the shortest match was at WrestleMania. The shortest 2 matches were at WrestleMania, I'm pretty sure. All of these matches on Raw were at least, like, 10 minutes each, if not much, much longer. But anyway, this match was pretty much an hour, it seemed like, with the different iterations of it. So they ended up with 3-on-3, and Bianca Belair gets the win via the KOD, I think is the name of that move. I'm not sure. I'm not good with names until I see them like a million times and actually write them down a million times. So I might just be doing myself a disservice by having written down the wrong name of that move. But speaking of Zelina Vega, then we had Aleister Black versus Apollo Crews in a just a singles match. There's one point when Aleister Black goes and sits, and then Apollo Crews is like, oh, nope, I'm getting out of here. He just leaves the ring immediately, and then we go to commercial break. I thought that was really funny, but also really smart on Apollo Crews' part. He knows what he's getting into. This was a way more competitive match than Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley was the previous night. I think it was across like 3 segments. It was great. Apollo Crews is so good, and Aleister Black, of course, is awesome. And these two fighting each other, it was great. So Aleister Black, of course, did win via the Black Mass, but man, you gotta check out this match. Check out this whole episode. It was lots of great stuff. Then we had Cedric and Ricochet, or Cedric Ricochet, versus Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. Another fantastic match. All these guys can just freaking go. It's awesome. And Cedric and Ricochet got the win after like this whole big sequence to finish. I thought it was maybe going to be I don't think they've done this yet, but the lumbar check directly into the what is it? The 640 senton. Like, that combination would be ridiculous, but I can see that being really hard. Like, the person would have to land like perfectly off of the lumbar check to not just be destroyed by the senton, but that would be so cool. Instead, it was what was it? I don't even remember what it was. Still a cool combination. But yeah, they get the win there. We had Seth come out. I thought he looked kind of slow and sad. He was slow. Came out very slowly. I thought he looked sad, but then I was realizing Anna's commentary saying, "Oh, he's actually like furious." So that I think both of those, he could be sad and angry about his loss to Kevin Owens, but he fights. This one was a squash match, so I'm not saying there wasn't any squash matches, but this one and this one might have been shorter than all the other ones the rest of the weekend. But he fought Denzel DeJournay, I think is his name, from NXT, and of course he won the match. But I think more so, Seth has got to be sad that the rest of his congregation is not there with him. He doesn't have Murphy. He doesn't have Akam and Razar. Somebody in my WhatsApp chat said, "Oh, I really hope that Seth recruits Austin Theory," and I'm all aboard. I'm on board for that. I want him to recruit as many people as possible. I mean, just 3 people following your church, that's definitely a cult. That's like something that you should be worried about. But if he has like 10 followers, that it's a little bit better, but also something to be concerned. It's always something to be concerned about. And then up next, we had the return of Nia Jax, who I thought would maybe return to challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship, but she's over here on Raw. That makes sense. And she fought Deonna Purrazzo from NXT and won via Rampage, which is that kind of like, it's not a backpack, but it's, what do you even call that? I don't know, but it's different. You see it, you know it when you see it. But I'm pretty excited for Nia Jax to be back. It's great that she's back cleared, like recovered from her injuries and all that. So I'm pretty excited for it. And that was also technically the 4th women's match of the night, which is really cool. Then we had Humberto Carrillo, who we have not seen in a while, because like even though we've had that feud going on with him on the side of Rey Mysterio, going against Andrade and Angel Garza, that all got kind of really sidetracked by everything that's going on. But we saw Humberto Carrillo versus Brendan Fink. He hit a standing moonsault first, and then a moonsault off of the top of the post, the ring post, on Brandon Fink to get the win there. So it was great to see Carrillo back in action. That reminds me, I want to mention real quick, they had a bunch of stuff announced on the Bump this morning. I'm recording this on Wednesday, April 8th. I got a little bit behind on stuff. My sleep was all messed up, and I was doing some other stuff and everything. So I didn't get around to recording this episode until right now. But I'm glad that I did, because some I might have mentioned some stuff that ended up not being true. There were rumors about Rhea Ripley being back in Australia for reasons, and that apparently is not true. So I'm not going to talk about that. Even though I just did, I mentioned it, and I said more words about the not true thing than the thing that is true, that she's still here in the United States. But the other thing is that there's a great interview with Drew McIntyre on the Bump, and he had a message from Sheamus, which was really great. And then he also had a surprise appearance, a live appearance, via video chat, by Heath Slater. So it's really cool to see him talking to Drew as well. So go check those out. Go check that episode out. But also later on in the episode, I didn't see the actual part of this episode, but I saw that it was announced on there. William Regal said that there's going to be a tournament to determine an interim cruiserweight champion, because the current champion, Jordan Devlin, is in the United Kingdom, and he can't come to the United States right now to defend the championship. So that'll be really cool. No details have come out as of a few hours ago when I last read about it. But I assume it's probably going to be, if it's a tournament, if it's only 4 people, that's kind of a lame tournament. So I'm hoping that it's 8 people total in there, and I'm rooting for either Tyler Breeze or Leo Rush to win and be the interim champion. But otherwise, I'd be happy with really anybody getting it, because everybody in the cruiserweight division is just so great. But anyway, back on track to what happened on Raw. We had an interview with Charlotte that happened right after their match. She said that Rhea was all right, and now something, I don't remember what else she said. That's all I wrote. That she said that Rhea was all right. I think she was more than all right. She was awesome. In other interviews, I saw some quotes from her, and that she said that it was just natural chemistry between them, like that it was like effortless having a match with Rhea, like working together, and you could really see that in the match. And like I said in my episode about this match, about WrestleMania Night 2, I was upset that Charlotte won, but having watched the match again, after knowing the result of it, I appreciate it more and more. It's a really, really good match. And think about it even more, I take it back that the SmackDown Women's title match is my favorite women's match of the weekends. Charlotte versus Rhea was just awesome. So I'd say that was the best women's match of the weekend, and in the top 3 matches total, probably top 4, top 5 for sure. Is in the top 40 matches of. There weren't that many matches. There was like 18 matches, but anyway, Drew McIntyre comes out. He has an interview in the ring, and he explains this is from the night before. He says he had to go get the plates, his side plates, put on there so he could make sure that it's real, and just like put the finishing touches on this win. And he's interviewed by Sarah Schreiber there in the ring, and then as he's talking about this and that, the Big Show arrives, star of the Big Show, and he's like, oh no, I'm not here to challenge you, but I am here to challenge you, basically. And he starts being really mean. He slaps Drew McIntyre. He's like, you want to be a champion, prove you're a champion. You're just a hypocrite if you don't fight me or whatever. And so we get a match just 20 minutes after, because it was filmed right after WrestleMania. We're seeing it tonight. Of the Big Show versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship, just mere minutes after he had defended against Brock Lesnar. And this match was a better match than Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. It featured more than 3 moves. So that right there shows that was a lot better. I also appreciated that aspect of it, because if you only saw Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, you'd think, oh, Drew McIntyre only has 1 move. And Brock Lesnar only has 2 moves, which is true for that match. They each only did that many moves. But getting to see him go all out against the Big Show was really cool, even though it made like no sense. And I was really worried. I think everybody was really worried. It's like, oh no. Oh no. What match was I saying that about before? It was when it was Lacey versus Bayley at the end of the Fatal 5-Way. But it's like, oh no, 20 minutes after winning, he's going to lose it to the Big Show just so that he can promote the Big Show and be the champion over there. So, but luckily Drew McIntyre did win, and he is still a champion. But I watched the Big Show after I watched Raw. I wish I had watched it before. And now, spoilers for the Big Show, more than what I had said already. There's 8 episodes. the last 2 episodes, in episode 7, he is doing like some type of local event where it's like, oh, beat the Big Show. There's a wrestling ring. He has like random people like challenge him and he defeats him. It's for like charity or something. I don't know. But after he like defeats a couple of people, he's like all amped up and he's like, I'm going back to the WWE. And then his family is standing there at ringside. They're horrified. And then they're like, what? He's like, oh, right, I need a microphone. And he gets a microphone. I'm going back to the WWE. I'm back, baby, or whatever. And that's the whole thing for the last 2 episodes, like them dealing with like, hey, we don't want you to go because your daughter lives with us now. She was in Minnesota and now she moved here so that she could be with you. And that's like the main thing. And then also there's a thing with a dog and with the real estate company and all kinds of stuff. Most of the season is about his wife. I don't remember her name. I don't remember the youngest girl is named JJ. I do remember that. But also his wife calls him Show. She does not call him his real name, which is weird. But the whole season is her trying to sell a house that is presumably haunted. Like the entire season. Now that I think of it, I'm not sure if she actually. No, I think she does sell the house because then she uses that as advertises. Like, if I can sell a haunted house, I can sell your house that has bad pipes or whatever. But anyway, so the last episode, he has decided to go off to go on tour for a farewell tour and do a big retirement match. So he's going to be gone away from home for a solid month. And the whole family, this is the end of the episode, the whole family, is, except for Big Show, because he's off being on SmackDown, they sitting around the couch, sitting around the TV, watching SmackDown, ready to see him make his return and all that. And then as the announcer is like, and now making his return, he says, the Big Show. He pops out from the closet. I don't know if it's a closet. It seems like it's a closet, but I think geographically it's like the office or something. It seems like it's a closet from what's going on with the house layout. But he pops out of there and they're all excited. He says, I'm never going to wrestle again, in a huge face turn. And he has a big wrestling match with all 3 of his daughters. And then the dog that they now have was dressed up as a referee, and it's so cute. And they all end up laying there in the living room wrestling ring made with a perimeter of couch cushions and all that. Anyway, it's a really nice ending. I liked it. And then I also really liked the idea that he made that decision to not wrestle ever again, to be there for his family, and then immediately decided he was going to go challenge Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship because he switches so often. So as far as I'm concerned, that's what happened. Is that he told his family, nope, I'm never wrestling again. We're all happy. Then he leaves like at midnight to sneak off and go challenge Drew McIntyre for the championship. So anyway, that's it for Raw and the Big Show. I did really like the Big Show. I just mostly just had it on while I was doing other stuff, which I think is the best way to watch that show. And any shows like it, like The Ranch or Fuller House, or all the Netflix sitcoms. But yeah, I liked it. There's we had an episode that had some wrestlers in there. We had Mick Foley and who else was? Which other ones? It was Mick Foley. I think it was Devon Dudley, and who else? Rikishi? Was Rikishi the third friend there? They went on a cruise because they had to. It was a WWE cruise, which that doesn't exist right now. The only wrestling cruise that there has been is the Jericho Wrestling Rager at Sea or whatever. So they're kind of copying Jericho there. But anyway, yeah, there's some wrestling stuff. We have Jaleel White, classic 90s sitcom superstar, And now he's the Big Show's personal trainer, which is really fun. He's like, has him in a headlock at one point, and the Big Show like doesn't even notice. He's just like looking at his phone, waiting for a response from his daughter because they had a fight. He was really upset about it. And he doesn't even notice that he's in a sleeper hold. It's really great. So anyway, let me clarify. The show isn't great. That joke and particular jokes are really great. And the implied continuity between the Big Show and Monday Night Raw and WrestleMania is pretty funny. So anyway, yeah, that's it. So let me know what you thought about Raw and the Big Show by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed, I have to mention why this episode is called this. When she calls out Zelina Vega, Bianca says, "I go here now," confirming that she's now on Raw, not NXT. And that is awesome. So anyway, let me know what you thought about everything by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe, healthy, and happy out there in all the infinite multiverses. And I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.